Hello, wonderful person. This is Chris for the Informed Stoner, and it's Tuesday evening and time for our evening news report. This report is brought to us by apnews.com. Survivors of deadly Mexico abduction return to America. Unfortunately, this is the conclusion of the story we talked about the other day. A road trip to Mexico for cosmetic surgery ended in 2 Americans dead. The other 2 found alive in a rural area near the Gulf Coast after a violent shootout and abduction that were captured on video, officials said Tuesday. Horrible situation. I hope more comes of this for the 2 that died, and they get the justice that is deserved here. The surviving Americans were back on U.S. soil after being sped to the border near Brownsville, the southernmost tip of Texas, in a convoy of ambulances and SUVs escorted by Mexican military Humvees and National Guard trucks with mounted machine guns. Well, I wonder why. Maybe because it's going to be an international incident. A relative of one of the victims said Monday that 4 had traveled together from the Carolinas so one of them could get a tummy tuck surgery from a doctor in the Mexican border city of Matamoros, where Friday's abduction took place. That's a long trip to get a tummy tuck. I'm just saying. Tamaulipas Governor Americo Villarreal said the 4 were found in a wooden shack where they were being guarded by a man who was arrested. Villarreal said the captive Americans had been moved around by their captors and at one point were taken to a medical clinic to create confusion and avoid efforts to rescue them. 2 dead will be turned over to the U.S. authorities following forensic work at the Matamoros morgue in the coming hours, the governor said. No offense, but I think any autopsies or medical forensic work needs to be done in the U.S., not in Mexico. Villarreal said that the wounded American Eric Williams had been shot in the left leg and the wound was not life-threatening. The survivors were taken to the Valley Regional Medical Center with FBI escort. The Brownsville Herald reported a spokesman for the hospital referred all injuries to the FBI. What's the FBI going to do? They're an internal agency. The FBI has no outside jurisdiction. I don't know. It's quite a relief, said Robert Williams, Eric's brother, reached by phone in North Carolina. I look forward to seeing him again and actually being able to talk to him. I mean, I'm sure that these people's families are very happy to have them back, and I'm sure we wish all of them had made it. The U.S. citizens were found in a shack in the rural east of Matamoros called Ijud Telacota. I cannot pronounce that. I apologize. On the way to the Gulf Coast known as Baghdad Beach, according to Tamaulipas State Chief Prosecutor Irving Barros. Shortly after entering Mexico Friday, the 4 were caught amid fighting between rival cartel groups in the city. Barros said the hypothesis is that in the confusion was not a direct attack. So they got kidnapped in confusion, and it was not a direct attack, even though they had South Carolina tags on their license plate. I don't know. Video and photographs taken during and immediately after the abduction show the Americans' white minivan sitting beside another vehicle with at least 1 bullet hole in the driver's side window. A witness said the 2 vehicles had collided almost immediately. Several men in tactical vests and toting assault rifles arrived in another vehicle to surround the scene. The gunman walked one of the Americans into the bed of the white pickup, then dragged and loaded the other 3. Terrified civil motorists sat silently in their cars, hoping not to draw their attention. 2 of the victims appeared to be motionless. Officials said a Mexican woman a block and a half away from the scene also died in Friday's crossfire. The shooting illustrates the terror that has prevailed for years in Matamoros, a city dominated by factions of powerful Gulf drug cartel who often fight among themselves. Amid the violence, thousands of Mexicans have disappeared in Tamaulipas state alone. Well, a lot of Mexico is ran by cartels. That's not news. And it's more than one cartel, and the government there really needs to do something, but we've seen over the years how that doesn't happen. Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador said that the people responsible would be punished. I'll believe it when I see it. He referenced arrests made in 2019 killing of 9 U.S. Mexican dual citizens in Sonora near the U.S. border. Okay, that's neither here nor there. Let's get results now. He complained about the U.S. media's coverage of the missing Americans, accusing them of sensationalism. It's not like that when they kill Mexicans in the United States, the media, so quiet like mummies. The cartel kills Mexicans in the United States? Kind of not quite sure where he's going with that one. It's very unfortunate the U.S. government, have the right to protest like they have. Lopez Obrador said, "We really regret this happened in our country. Well, maybe you should police yourself better." U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said the cartels are responsible for the deaths of Americans. The DEA and the FBI are doing everything possible to dismantle and disrupt and ultimately prosecute the leaders of the cartels and the entire network that they depend on. Again, as far as I know, I thought FBI was only worked on our soil. Maybe I'm wrong with that one. I thought the CIA was out of the U.S. and FBI was in the U.S., but again, I could be wrong. DEA, obviously, Drug Enforcement Agency, a United States organization. They don't really have a lot of outside influence. I mean, I'm sure they do, but they have no say. White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said the U.S. is working with Mexican officials to learn more about the circumstance surrounding the killings. Oh, I hope they report more about this. The FBI offered a $50,000 reward for the victim's return and the rest of the abductors. Robert Williams said in a telephone interview that he and his brother, 38-year-old Eric Williams, are from South Carolina and now live in Winston-Salem area of North Carolina. Williams described his brother as easygoing and fun-spirited. He didn't know his brother was traveling to Mexico until after the abduction hit the news, but from the look at his brother's Facebook posts, he thinks his brother did not consider the trip dangerous. He thought it would be fun, Williams said. He hadn't heard anything about his brother's whereabouts, he said. Told that his brother was among the survivors Tuesday, Robert Williams said that when they met, I'll just tell him how happy I am to see him and how glad I am that he made it through and that I love him. Well, I'm sure that, all those thoughts were racing through every one of those people's family members, all hoping for their safe return. Unfortunately, only 2 of them made it back, and I hope we see justice for the 2 that didn't. It's a sad story. And I wish it would have had a better ending. But that's the world we live in these days. Well, let me know what you guys think, Drop a like, drop a sub, leave a comment. I'll get back to you. Y'all have a great evening.